वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णो वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णो वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु. Pranams from Dr. R.J. Kalpana. Welcome to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. In this session, we will continue our study of chapter 18, MokshaSanyasaYoga, the yoga of liberation through renunciation. Shloka 46, Krishna says, man attains the highest perfection by worshipping through his own natural duties him from whom the tide of creation has streamed forth and by whom all this universe is pervaded. So here Krishna shows us how to worship the divine and how to attain that highest perfection, that highest goal of union with the divine. And so, therefore, Krishna says that perform your duties, the natural duties that every class of society, a Brahmana, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, a Shudra, has naturally been given, each to their best, to their capability, the duties that have been accorded to them. Perform your natural duties, that which come naturally to you, and thereby you will be able to attain perfection, because in performance of such duties, we dedicate these duties to the divine himself, that divine from whom the entire creation has commenced, that divine through whose divine potency the entire universe is sustained. Sloka 47. Better is one's duty, though devoid of merit, than the duty of another well performed. Performing the duty ordained by his own nature, man does not incur any samskaras. So that duty alone which is prescribed for a person based on social class, based on the stages in life, so the temperament, the circumstances, the gunas, the tendencies, the swadharma, which is your natural duty. Although it is devoid of merit, it might not be earth-shattering, it might not be all-powerful, right? It might be very simple, and yet that duty well performed has far more greater import, has far more value than one which is performed as someone else's duties. So this brings to mind the story in Ramayana, where Rama and his army were building the bridge across the sea to go to Lanka. And there, as the Vanarasena were carrying huge boulders and flinging it into the ocean, right? Amidst their huge feet, a tiny little squirrel kept scuttering and scampering about. Very importantly, it would come and it would roll about and it would again go back to the sea, and it kept doing that. They tried to chase it away to no avail. It kept constantly returning. They complained to their commandant, who in turn complained to Rama. So Rama summoned the squirrel and asked him, "What are you doing?" And the squirrel said, "My lord, I heard you were building a bridge across the ocean to go to Lanka. I am not gigantic man like the soldiers in your army. I cannot carry heavy boulders and rocks, but I want to help too. So the gaps that are there when two boulders are joined together, I do my best to fill them. I go wet myself in the waves of the sea, roll around in the sand, gather the sand grains on my back, carry it to the gaping holes between the stones, and then I shake myself there so all the grains of sand fill up these holes. It is the least that I can do. It is the only thing I have to offer for you." Rama was moved by such commitment. Rama was moved by the intent of this little squirrel who was doing his best to contribute to the war efforts that were being undertaken. And so he lovingly patted and stroked the squirrel. And that is why to this day the Indian squirrel carries stripes on its back. It is a unique identification mark of the Indian subcontinent squirrels. All the other squirrels that are found in this world do not have stripes on their back. So do one's own duty, although it might be devoid of any merit, rather than performing another's duty. Shloka 48. Therefore, Arjuna, one should not abandon one's innate duty, even though it may be tainted with blemish. For even as fire is enveloped in smoke, all undertakings are clouded with demerit. So therefore, Krishna advises Arjuna that one's innate duty, one's natural duties should never be abandoned and given up, even though it might be tainted. Every form of activity involves, one way or the other, a destruction, and therefore to recuse oneself of such activities is not natural. Hence, man must do his duty, whatever the circumstances might be. He must perform his duty, because if he fails in his duty, he is failing his society, he is failing the universe, he is failing the cosmic law of order. Shloka 49. He whose intellect is unattached everywhere, whose thirst for enjoyment has altogether disappeared, and who has subdued his mind, reaches through Sankhya Yoga, the path of knowledge, the consummation of actionlessness. And so here Krishna states how one attains the highest state of actionlessness through samanyasa. So he says, have an intellect which is non-attached. The innate thirst for sense pleasures must be completely disappeared. Complete subjection of the mind through humility and discipline, and reach actionlessness, the concept of actionlessness through the path of knowledge. So knowingly walk that path of knowledge and understand the true concept, understand the hidden meaning behind the term actionlessness, that which does not generate samskaras. Shloka 50. Arjuna, know from me only briefly the process through which man, having attained actionlessness, which is the highest consummation of Jnana Yoga, reaches Brahma. And so here Krishna says that briefly I will explain to you the process through which man can attain this actionless state and thereby can finally reach the divine. Shloka 51, 52, 53. Endowed with an untarnished intellect and partaking of a light, sattvika and regulated diet, living in a lonely and undefiled place, having rejected sound and other objects of sense, having controlled the mind, speech and body by restraining the mind and senses through firmness of a sattvika type, taking a resolute stand on dispassion, after having completely got rid of attraction and aversion, and remaining ever devoted to the yoga of meditation, having given up egotism, violence, arrogance, lust, anger and luxuries, devoid of the feeling of miyam and tranquil of heart, such a man becomes qualified for oneness with Brahma, who is truth, consciousness and bliss. So in these three shlokas together, Krishna gives us the process by which we can attain union with the divine, the highest goal of a human life. We need an untarnished intellect. We need a diet which is light, which is regulated, which is purely sattvika in nature. To live in a place which is undefiled by sound and senses. Not a noisy place and not a place which encourages the sense pleasures, and therefore disciplining samanyasa, right? Complete discipline of the mind, speech and body, having completely gotten rid of any kind of value judgments, of likes and dislikes, and through the yoga of meditation, maintain tranquility of the heart, and sublimate the ego with humility and gratitude, bhakti, shraddha, and therefore we will attain Sat, Chit, Ananda. We will qualify ourselves to merge with the Divine. Shloka 54. Established in identity with Brahma, whose truth, consciousness and bliss, cheerful in mind, the Sankhya Yogi no longer grieves nor craves for anything, and the same to all beings, such a yogi attains supreme devotion to me. So now, having established identicality with Brahma, having attained or having arrived at the gates of the Divine, attaining identicality with Brahma, the Sankhya Yogi has no craving for anything else. He has tasted the nectar, and therefore he is drowned in bhakti, in devotion to the Divine. Shloka 55. Through that supreme devotion, he comes to know me in reality, what and how great I am, and thereby knowing me in essence, he forthwith enters into my being. And so here Krishna says that with that supreme devotion of bhakti, he finally comes to know me in reality, what and how great I am, and thereby knowing me in essence, he forthwith enters into my being. So in heartfulness meditation, these are descriptions of chakras 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. So the first step is to have devotion, to be devoted to the Divine in order to perceive the Divine and understand the beauty and awe of that which is undescribable, of that which is immutable, which is eternal, and thereby, having perceived that reality, then you can merge with the Divine. Shloka 56. The Karma Yogi, however, who depends on me, attains by my grace the eternal imperishable state, even though performing all actions. The Karma Yogi, the yogi who undertakes the path of action and who is dependent on the Divine, even while performing all actions, does so because he is dedicating all those actions to the Divine, and thereby he also stands qualified to attain the Divine grace, to attain that state of immutability, that eternal condition of the Divine. Shloka 57. Mentally resigning all your duties to me, taking recourse to yoga in the form of even-mindedness, be solely devoted to me and constantly give your mind to me. So here Krishna says that resign your duties to me, right? Resigning duties to me is to offer up the doership of all those actions that are to be performed by us, which are part and parcel of our life, the natural duties that are prescribed to us by the Veda Shastras. So Even while performing those actions, we devote them exclusively to the divine and take the help of yoga, of meditation, and acquire and practice a balanced state of equanimity and become solely devoted to the divine. Shloka 58. With your mind thus given to me, you shall tide over all difficulties by my grace. And if from egotism you will not listen, you will be lost. And therefore Krishna here gives us a hint, a warning, let us say, that we should offer ourselves, our mind, our hearts to the divine with firm faith and belief, with firm shraddha and bhakti, that whatever happens, happens only because the divine has willed it so. And therefore you shall tide over all difficulties. And by that very act, when we have stepped away from doership, the divine takes over and protects us by the divine grace. There is this very famous saying, when I am there, my beloved Lord was not. When he was there, I was not. That is the condition that we must all aspire to acquire. To not be so full of ego that I have done things, I have achieved things, but to give up the doership to the divine, who is at the end of the day, after all, the cause of the universe itself. But if we succumb to our ego, then we will be lost. Shloka 59. If taking your stand on egotism you think I will not fight, vain is this resolve of yours. Nature will drive you to the act. So now if by sheer ego you think that I shall not fight, it is just a waste of time, because it is your innate nature to fight. And therefore nature, your tendencies, your natural tendencies, your natural aggressive tendencies, or your natural tendencies towards protection, defenders, guardians, it is your natural duty to fight, and therefore your nature itself will drive you to fight, irrespective of what your egotistical stand might be. Shloka 60. That action too which you are not willing to undertake through ignorance, bound by your own duty, bound of your nature, you will helplessly perform. And so Krishna says that even though you're not willing to undertake certain duties because you're ignorant, but because you're bound to performing your duties, because you're born to your own nature, your natural tendencies, you will become helpless and you will be forced to perform. You will be forced to act. Shloka 61. Arjuna, God abides in the heart of all creatures, causing them to revolve according to their karma by his elusive power. seated as those beings are in the vehicle of the body. And so therefore Krishna here says that the divine is present in the heart of all human beings and all creatures. And it is that divine, it is that causes them to perform their samskaras. Shloka 62. Taking shelter in him alone with all your being, Arjuna, by his mere grace you shall attain supreme peace and the eternal state. And so here Krishna advises Arjuna to take shelter in the divine with all of your being, your mind, body. Give it all up to the divine, and by the divine grace we will attain the supreme peace. Shloka 63. Thus has this wisdom, more secret than secrecy itself, has been imparted to you by me. Fully pondering it, do as you like. And so here Krishna says finally that now I have taught you the most secret of secret wisdom. I have passed on to you the most elusive of knowledge that sages and seers have undergone meditation for centuries, for millennium itself, and yet I have given them to you. Contemplate it, reflect upon it, ponder upon it, and then do as you wish. Shloka 64. Hear again my supremely secret word, the most esoteric of all truths. You are extremely dear to me, therefore I shall offer you this salutary advice. And so here Krishna taking compassion on Arjuna tells him that I will once again give you my secret word, the most esoteric of all truths, because you are so dear to me. I will once again reveal the secret to you. Shloka 65. Give your mind to me, be devoted to me, worship me and bow to me. Doing so you will come to me alone, I truly promise you, for you are exceptionally dear to me. And so here Krishna tells that all you need to do is to hand over your body, your mind, your very soul to the divine, and in doing so you will eventually reach the divine. Shloka 66. Resigning all your duties to me, the all-powerful and all-supporting Lord, take refuge in me alone. I shall absolve you of all sins. Worry not. Now this Shloka 66 is also one of the shlokas which are considered to be originally recited by Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where he says, resign your duties to me, hand over your duties to me. I am all powerful, I am all supporting, I support the entire universe. It is my divine potency, the Lord says, the divine says. So take refuge in me, and then I shall cleanse you of all your samskaras and liberate you. Shloka 67. This secret of the Gita should never be imparted to a man who lacks penance, nor to a man who is wanting in devotion, nor even to him who lends not a willing ear, and in no case to him who finds fault with me. So this secret of the Gita should never be spoken of to people who lack penance, who don't care much for devotion, and who are not even willing to lend a ear to listen, and who are always finding fault with the divine. Sloka 68. He who, offering the highest love to me, preaches the most profound gospel of the Gita among my devotees, shall come to me alone. There is no doubt about it. So here Krishna says that he who offers bhakti and shraddha to me, and who spreads the word of Gita, who teaches the Gita to my devotees, he shall come to me. There is no doubt about it. Among men there is none who does me a more loving service than he, nor shall anyone be dearer to me on the entire globe than he. And so Krishna says here that individual who is drowned in devotion, drowned in bhakti to the divine, and who spreads the word of Gita as a service. There is no greater service or a more loving service than that, and that person is ever dear to me on this entire physical dimension. Shloka 70. Whosoever studies this sacred dialogue of ours in the form of the Gita, by him too shall I be worshipped through wisdom sacrifice, such is my mind. And so here Krishna says that even if even if though people study this Gita, and in their study they use wisdom sacrifice, they offer up their wisdom to me, they sacrifice yajnaha jnana yajnena, through knowledge they sacrifice. I consider that too a form of worship. Shloka 71. The man who hears the holy Gita with reverence and in an uncarping spirit, liberated from sin, he too shall reach the happy worlds of the virtuous. Even the person not just teaching, not just studying, but just by listening to the holy Gita with reverence, without complaining, they too shall be liberated from their samskaras, and they shall be happy to reach the world of the virtuous. Shloka 72. Have you heard this Gita with one pointed mind, Arjuna? And has your delusion born of ignorance melted away, O conqueror of riches? So finally Krishna asks Arjuna, have you heard this complete teaching of Gita with one pointed, single-minded attention, Arjuna, and has all your delusions, which are born out of ignorance, have they disappeared? Shloka 73. Arjuna said, Krishna, by your grace my delusion has fled and wisdom has been gained by me. I stand shorn of all doubts and I will do your bidding. And so gratefully Arjuna answers Krishna and says that by your divine grace my delusions have been torn asunder and I have gained wisdom. And so now I shall do your bidding. 74 Shloka. Sanjaya said, thus I heard the mysterious and thrilling conversation between Sri Krishna and the high-souled Arjuna, son of Kunti. And so Sanjaya, the advisor of Dhritarashtra, the blind king, sums it all up and says that thus I heard this dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, which has been spoken of as being mysterious because it enables one to realize the integral divinity and is possessed of wonderful transcendent virtues and supernatural powers. Even a person who hears and understands it is filled with delight and wonder, which makes your hair stand on the end and you get goosebumps because you finally realize that you are in the presence of the divine and you have heard the divine word. Shloka 75. Having been blessed with the divine vision by the grace of Sri Vyasa, I heard the supremely esoteric gospel from the Lord of Yoga, Sri Krishna himself, imparting it to Arjuna before my very eyes. And so Sanjaya says that by the grace of Sri Vedavyasa, who authored the Mahabharata, I have been blessed by this divine vision, and because of which I have been able to hear the Lord of Yoga, Shri Krishna himself, imparting the secret wisdom to Arjuna. 76 Shloka. Remembering over and over that sacred and mystic conversation between Bhagwan Shri Krishna and Arjuna, O King, I rejoice again and yet again. Sanjaya means to say that this conversation has captivated his heart so much that he is transported with joy and overwhelmed with love, and he is constantly recollecting every little aspect of this conversation. When we have conversations which fill us with joy and happiness, we do take it out once in a while from our little suitcase and we relive those memories over and over again. And therefore Sanjaya does thus too. Shloka 77. Remembering also, Sanjaya says again and again, that most wonderful form of Sri Krishna, great is my wonder, and I rejoice over and over again. So now, having glorified the recollection of the Gita, Sanjaya goes on to recollect the cosmic form, the Virat Rupa Darshan of the divine, and says, such is my wonder that I rejoice that I was able to perceive, I was able to see the divine vision of the cosmic form itself. And so we come now to the final shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurtaraha Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvo Nitimatir Mama. Wherever there is Bhagwan Shri Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, and wherever there is Arjuna, the wielder of the Gandiva bow, goodness, victory, glory, and unfailing righteousness are there. Such is my conviction. And so here Sanjaya says that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there will be dharma, there will be victory, and there will be glory. Such is my conviction. So here finally is the answer to the question that Dhritarashtra asked in the first chapter and the first shloka, where Dhritarashtra asked, Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakav pandavaschaiva kimakurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, Sanjaya, gathered on the sacred soil of Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, eager to fight, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? And so finally, in the last shloka of the last chapter, Sanjaya gives the answer to that question by saying, Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurtaraha Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Bhagwan Shri Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, and wherever there is Arjuna, the wielder of the Gandiva bow, goodness, victory, glory, and unfailing righteousness are there. Such is my conviction. In other words, Sanjaya wanted Sanjaya wanted to make clear that Bhagwan Shri Krishna was the Lord of all yogic powers, and therefore by sheer divine potency he was capable of creating, maintaining, and destroying the entire universe, and therefore there should be no doubt about the victory of the Pandavas, because Bhagwan Shri Krishna, the manifested divinity, was on their side in the battle. Om Tat Sadita Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayan Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade MokshaSanyasaYogo Nama Ashtadashodhyayaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Thus in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, ends the 18th chapter titled The Yoga of Liberation through the path of renunciation. Om Yogesho Satchidanandam Vasudevam Rajapriyam Dharma Samstapakam Viram Krishno Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishno Vande Jagadgurum Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu.